Everyone, my name's Jeff. Welcome back to Jones Works. Today we're going to be making a pair of modern style end tables with hairpin legs as part of the scrapwood projects. This video is going to be a little different though. I'm going to try my hand at walking you guys through this project. It's a very easy build, good beginner project. And once you know how to make these, you can make them to any size and fit you want. So very customizable. I hope you guys enjoy this one. Now let's get to the project. As is the case with most of my projects, I don't really go in with a build sheet or set of plans. I just kind of make it up as I go, but I do have an idea of what I want in my head. In this case, I don't have a specific size I need. I just want it to kind of be pleasing to the eye. So I found this sheet of plywood in my scrap bin. This thing is 17 inches across and it looks good to me. So I'm going to be cutting two of these squares, 17 by 17, and then later on I'll bring them up to 18 inches, which is what I think I want the final size to be, by trimming it. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with cutting these into squares. The style tables we're making today are based on a torsion box design. That is two solid pieces, sandwiching strips in between, and that makes for a super solid table that'll resist sagging and things like that. This being a small table, I don't think we have to worry about that, so we're just gonna double up on the strips. Now when you're assembling these, you want to have the top side face down. That way when you nail on your strips, you'll have no visible nails from the top side. Two things I wanted to mention real quick before we move on is I ended up just going with one layer. It started looking a little bulky with the third layer, so quick design change on the fly. Second thing, if I were making fine furniture or something like that, at this step, I probably would have made the strips a little thicker and then used a flush trim bit to make them perfectly flat. In this case, we're using a bunch of scrap wood, so I don't really care. I just cut it to size to begin with. Next, we're going to move on to the trim. And again, using whatever scrap wood I have available. I usually use a hardwood or like a select pine, something like that. All I could find was this 2x4 that I thought could do the trick. So I'm going to cut off the round edge and then cut some half-inch strips that will glue onto the edges, put a nice little chamfer on, and make it look good. Now for the trim, I like to miter one edge and then take it to the piece and mark the other side. That way I know it's perfectly fit for that side of the piece. At this point, you can just take your trim, line up the miter on one side, and then mark the other. Super easy. When you're cutting these, make sure you don't cut them too short. You can always nibble away and make it a perfect fit, but you can't add wood to it. And another thing, when you're nailing them on, make sure you're not too close to the top, because later we're going to add a chamfer to this thing and you don't want your router bits to come close to those. Switch it to the next side. Set the miter up against the last, and then mark your next line. And just keep it going. Of course. So we've chamfered the edges. I filled the nail holes with putty, and now we'll just give it a good sand before we finish it. Sticking with the theme of using what we have, I found this old can of ebony stain in my cabinet. So we're gonna stain these black, and then I'll spray them with poly after that. Sun's going down, so I'm gonna get the stain on here tonight and then let it dry overnight. Tomorrow I'll come back and throw the poly on. Last step's also the easiest. We're just gonna attach the legs. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. These are a lot of fun and super easy to make, and you can make them however you want. These are end tables, but you can make them as nightstands or coffee tables or desks, whatever you want. And especially right now while we're all in self-isolation, this is a great way to pass some time and use up some of the scraps in your shop. Now, obviously, this was quite a bit different than the videos I normally make, so if you have any comments or feedback, please leave those down below. And lastly, please share and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And I will see you guys on the next project.